Good afternoon. I'm Delegate Vernon Criss from the 12th District, which covers the North Parkersburg area and out Route 47 past the college. Delegate Heckert and I have come up from Charleston this morning to be with you and for the governor to talk to you about the success we've had in the House of Delegates, about personal income tax reductions, and some other things that he would like to talk about. So with no further ado, I would like to introduce Governor Jim Justice.
Okay. Now we're real complete, aren't we? Tell the honest truth. Y'all really wanted to see Baby Doll. First of all, Mayor, thank you. And Vernon, please, I don't know where you were going to join us here. You know, but just our House Finance Chair, and Vernon Criss, and he does an incredible job. And, you know, I want him to participate and say whatever you'd like to say and be right with us. And you're welcome, I guess, to ask us both questions. And along the way, you know, Vernon, you can stand at the podium, which would be really good if you want to stand.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm good.
Why don't you talk to us?
All right. Well, for the last 4 or 5 years, the House of Delegates have introduced a personal income tax reduction plan that Delegate Kelly knows about, Delegate Ashley knew about, Delegate Heckert's working on it this year now with us. And each year we have come close. And this year, with the help of the governor and a little bit of tweaking on my part to get it across the line and making sure that over the next 3 years, we will reduce your state income tax by 50%. And along the way, and I think probably on my insistence that we set aside $700 million in a reserve fund, so just in case, as we go along, that if we have a problem in our economy, that we'll have those dollars available at some point so that the chief executive can ask the legislature for permission to use those dollars to meet the obligations of the state. Our goal is the same goal that I had back in 1987 when I was in the legislature, is to eliminate personal income tax altogether in this state. And the governor can tell you why we want to do that. I want him to be able to explain that to you. It's important for the future of this state that we do that. And even though it's been 35 years, we're still on that plan. And I think it's a great opportunity for the state, and I appreciate the governor helping us spirit this ahead, because it's been great. And now we are asking for your help to let the Senate know, the state Senate know, that this is a plan that's going to work. It's no pie in the sky opportunity. It's not a bait and switch for other taxes to be put back on you. This is truly a tax cut and a reduction in dollars going to the state. And we appreciate what you've been able to do with us, and be patient that we've been able over the last 6 years, that we've been able to get the economy and the collections correct, and it's time to return the money back to the people. Thank you, Jim.
Amen, sir. Well, I don't know how much I can add to that. You know, at the end of the day, when it really boils right down to it, and this is our Secretary of Revenue right here, and he can clarify anything and everything, but the reality is just real simple. You know, you've worked really, really hard, and many of you have been through a lot of tough times in West Virginia, lots of them, and you've hung in there, and you've helped continue to pull the rope and do any and everything you possibly can. And now's the time that we're at a milestone beyond belief. Now is our moment. Now's the time when we can not only reward tons of goodness back to you, but we can do something to change the pathway of West Virginia forever. That's all there is to it. It's just that simple. And from the standpoint of we're 2/3 of the way home. A House vote 95-2. And I know there's delegates here and everything, and so much goodness that just was sent in that message that came right across everywhere. And I congratulate you in your decision. Now, we've still got 1/3 of the way to get there. I'm not here today to beat on the Senate. I'm here today to answer your questions about this plan, about what we're going to do. And this is a plan that's been really hatched and put together, you know, from the House, from the executive, from the Senate side, pushing us to go bigger. And your concern, probably the only concern, could be one thing, and that is, you know, well, are we sure we're going to be okay? It sounds like so much money. Are the things about us in the state going to be okay? And really and truly, I would just tell you just this. You've got the Secretary of Revenue right there. You've got the House Finance Chair right there. And you got me, who came to you as a business guy and has probably got a lot of good business sense, because just remember, you know, my grandparents never had indoor plumbing. We had to just get in and dig and dig and dig and dig and dig, and lo and behold, their grandson is sitting here as your governor. Now, you just don't have all this stuff just fall out of the sky. But I can promise you this. When I walked in the door, now we can say what we want. I don't care what anybody here says. I'm the business guy. And I looked right at the books, and any way you cut it, if we would have been a corporation, any way you cut it, we were dead level bankrupt. Now think, I've got a lot of pride in who I am and everything, and think where we are today. We've got surpluses beyond surpluses beyond surpluses. Honest to goodness, there's so much goodness going on, it is off the chart. Now, do you think that I would be willing to risk that goodness in my last 2 years and let it all go down the drain? There's no way. There's no way on God's earth. This little girl right here needs you. What's your name? What? Cameron? Cameron. Now, literally, when it really boils right down to it, we can say what we want, but what's your name? Brandy? Brent. Bren. Well, we've got Bren and we've got Cameron, right? Sisters. How about that? Do y'all ever fight with one another? Do you ever argue with one another a little bit? I see you got your tongue out. Is that why y'all are sitting this far apart?
One of them's more brave than the other.
I mean, at the end of the day, say what you want, but that's why we're here. And that's exactly why we're here. Cameron and Bren, just think about it. When it really just boils right down to it, You know, we all want goodness for us, and we want things to be better for us, but really what really I think you want more than anything, and I always refer to Toby and Edith. Edith wants to have a picnic, and she wants her grandkids to be here. She wants them to be there. And in all honesty, in many situations, the grandkids are in Denver and Atlanta and all over Kingdom Come, and our families got fragmented because we didn't have a chance, and we didn't have opportunity, and we didn't have the goodness that a lot of other people have right here in the very best, the best of the best states, the best of the best people, the best of the best location, the best of the best seasons, the best of the best natural resources, the best of the best. And literally and truly, we couldn't pull it off, but now we got it there. So, all that being said, I'll quit and then I'll answer, or we'll all together answer any and all your questions. We're 2/3 of the way there. This should have been done already. I mean, for God's sakes, a living. Our plan is so simple. It's just this. We want to cut your income tax by 50%. Now, what would happen if that happens? Basically, you're going to return to your pockets $1 billion. $1 billion is going to go right back to your pockets. What are you going to do with it? You're going to spend it. It's what I would do. It's what we all do. We spend our money. And then you know what's going to happen? The multiplier effect of those dollars is going to turn into multiple billions. We become our own incentive package. And people right across the border see what's going on here, and before you know it, you spin around 5 times, and businesses and people move here. And when that starts happening, then as far as your roads, your schools, and everything under the sun is benefiting. Everything. Now look, you know I didn't get very popular with a few people in regard to Amendment 2. But I really believed that when you got it right and you understood all there was to understand about it, you'd get it right. And you did. You really did. So with all that being said, I'll turn it over to y'all now. We'll all answer any and all questions, but please, for God's sakes a living, anything that you don't understand, ask. Because that's why we're here. We're not here to bash on people. We're here to absolutely help educate you as to what this is all about and help you put to rest concerns that may come up about the boogeyman. Oh, we don't want to be Kansas. I mean, come on. Do you really, honest to God, think that I'd be here after we've done what we've done and then throw it all away? There's not a chance. There's no way. So ask us anything you choose to ask, and we'll answer them the best we can. Now, don't be shy. Please ask. Yes, sir.
What would you say the 3 biggest benefits are to the state as a whole as a result of this tax cut?
Okay, first of all, every tax publication known to man will tell you this will drive population growth to the state. That's the first thing. The second thing is you deserve it. Honest to Pete, this is your dollars. This isn't our money. It's your dollars. Now, we can do this, and let me show you how ridiculous this is. We can build a Little League field on every street corner all across this state with the money. And then at that point in time, it's gone. Now, I'm a real believer in Little Leagues. I'm the president of Little League in Beckley. I've been that forevermore and all that kind of stuff. And still the president today. With all that being said, and I just think I'm not saying anything derogatory. I'm just saying this is your money. It's your money. We don't need to just throw it away and it be gone. And the other flip side of the whole thing is just this. Every publication in the world would tell you, that would say to you just simply this. If you want more industry, You want more business. You want to sell more cars. You want to do any and everything you're doing. You get yourself on this pathway, and if you don't get yourself on this pathway, we're going to run off and leave you. The Federal Reserve, now they're bipartisan as they can be, came right in my office and sat down and said, what in the world is wrong at the time with the legislature? Now, one side's really functioning here. But what's wrong? Now, this is the Federal Reserve. And they said, do you not realize the potential that you have? Well, I do completely. And I said, you're singing to the choir. And they said, do you not realize that all this population that's wanting to go somewhere is driving through you to get to states where they have no personal income tax? They're driving through you to get to Tennessee, Florida, Texas, wherever it may be. They're driving right through you. And not only that, from my standpoint, you may say, well, we don't have an ocean, but just think what we do have. My God, we got the greatest people on the planet. We've got 4 of the most beautiful, unbelievable seasons that you can possibly have. Think about the states that don't have an income tax. Well, Florida, Texas. Well, how is it in the summer in Florida and Texas? You can't even breathe. You know, okay, let's think of another one. Let's think Nevada. Are you serious? You know, think about Nevada. They don't even have trees. You know, okay, let's think of 2 more. South Dakota and Wyoming. Well, you know, when it got really cold, really cold here not long ago, you think how it would be in Wyoming. I mean, you couldn't even go outside and breathe and not become a Wyoming sickle. I mean, really. We have so much, and all those states are mega distances away from population versus us. So, the net of the whole thing is just really simple. You deserve it. It will drive population growth, we know that, and it will drive business opportunity, and it will also be our own incentive package. Think about how much would it mean to West Virginia if tomorrow I said, we've got Cameron's company, and she's going to put $1 billion into the state of West Virginia, all across the state, tomorrow. Well, it's going to turn, I'll guarantee the multiplier effect is going to turn it into 7 to 10 or 12 times that immediately. But she's not only going to do it tomorrow, she's going to do it every year. The Federal Reserve looked right at me and said, do you realize South Carolina's on a pathway to do this, Mississippi, Georgia? If you don't move and move now while you have the opportunity beyond belief, you're going to get left in the dust. Somebody else has something, please. Yes, sir.
I appreciate what you're doing and what you're trying to do here. And I know as a businessman, you know the importance of attracting and retaining employees. Sure. I think this is the right path to attract and retain citizens. Knowing what happened with Amendment 2, where do we stand on the reimbursement for personal property tax? I think that's another incentive.
All right, let me tell you. First of all, on personal property taxes, let's be really fair. You know, I sent up the bill in regard to your car tax. I think what will happen is, and how people are just, you know, looking at this whole picture is, and they're looking at it correctly. If we had a state today and we got rid of our car tax and we got rid of our machinery and inventory tax and we did a 15% reduction in income tax, how many people would come? I can tell you the answer to that. The answer to that is not very many. In other words, and let me give you a great example. Used to be a long time ago, if you were going to go squirrel hunting, you had to have a gun. You had to have a gun that had a full choke barrel. Because to shoot at a squirrel sitting on a log, you could really aim, and you needed the pattern to be real tight altogether. And then if you were going to go rabbit hunting or grouse hunting, you needed a barrel that was an improved cylinder, which would scatter it out. The shot size against a squirrel would be a bigger shot size, like a 4 or 6 shot, and the shot size maybe against a rabbit, to try to get a rabbit or a grouse would be a 8 shot, real small. And then somebody along the way came up with a thing and said, well, look, instead of you having to buy 2 barrels, we'll have a modified choke barrel. And it's kind of good for squirrels, and it's kind of good for rabbits and grouse. But it's really not good for anything. That's basically what we would have if we have a little bit of income tax, a little bit of car tax, a little bit of machinery inventory, and we try to go forward to drive the thing that really moves the needle. And that's people. People coming. We got to have people. Now, is the car tax, machinery inventory tax bad? No. But for God's sakes of living, let's don't get the cart before the horse. Let's do the thing that absolutely drives people to us, opportunity to us. Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me why we have 1.2 billion surplus when our state is riddled with homelessness, food, and unemployment disparities, and opioid epidemic? I believe these services are struggling due to such surplus. Can you hear me wrong?
Well, let me tell you this. The surplus is really even significantly greater than the 1.2. Really, if you want to really think about an insurance policy to make sure, like, our finance chair was telling us, that protects us to be able to do this. The $700 million, which we're going to put in a bucket that's basically a rainy day personal income tax, insurance policy. There's 3 buckets that have money today. And those 3 buckets are the 2022 surplus, which has still got about $550 million sitting over there, which is all the money in the world. And the 2023 surplus, which is going to be about $1.7 billion. And the ARPA money, which is still sitting over there in another bucket, was $677 million. Now just hear me out, okay? As far as hunger and all the different things, if you would listen to my State of the State, I will promise you, one of the themes in the State of the State is we don't need a single solitary person in West Virginia going hungry. There's so many things that absolutely are needs all across this state. And we're doing them. And we have done them. Has it been perfect? Of course not. Can you do them all day, day after tomorrow? Well, of course not. In all fairness to the whole thing, if you're trying to attract people to the state of West Virginia, the first thing people ask is how's the schools, the next thing they ask how the roads. Think of what we've done. Think of what we've done. We can't make it perfect tomorrow. But absolutely, we're trying within all in us to do more and more and more and more goodness. And if we want this state perpetuating forward, this is the goodness that I think is the way to get there. Yes, ma'am.
I heard Delegate Chris say he's been working on this since the 80s. In the 80s, I was about the same age as Cameron and Brenda. So I've seen this state go through, trials and tribulations my whole life. I'm from the southern part of the state, and now I live here. I see a lot of inequity in our schools, and you said that Cameron and Brenda need us, and they absolutely do. But part of that is that they need well-funded schools with teachers, and teachers are exiting our state
Okay. You got several things there, and Vernon, I'm gonna have you jump in here in just 1 second, but let me address your question first. You know, first of all, I'm from the southern coal fields, and believe me, B, I know the hardship and stuff that's going on there. Second of all, in regard to the machinery and inventory tax that was Amendment 2, you talk about something that would have benefited me. I mean, it would have benefited me to the tune of probably $10 million. And I was the leading campaigner saying, don't do it. As far as something that I could do, you know, or Vernon can do, or we can do across the board that benefits every single last one of you, it's reduce your personal income tax. That's all there is to it. It's reduce all of our personal income tax. You know, as far as the teachers and making it equitable and everything, since I've been there, I did the biggest pay raise in the history of the state, 5%, one time. Then I did it again. Then I did it again. And now I've proposed it again. You know, I don't know what else I can do. You know, I mean, there's always something you can do. I love these kids more than good sense. I'm a coach. I don't want anything. I drive myself. That's what I do. I don't know what else I can do. Vernon.
I agree. I mean, we have, every time he's proposed these pay raises, we have found the way to do those, and we are going to try to find a way to do his proposal again this year. As you all know, he sets the estimates for the amount of money that we have to authorize the spending. He proposes a budget. We bring the budget up to the committees, and we work the budgets with their departments and with the help of Dave Hardy to bring those departments ahead, to have the public hearings, which are actually going on, I think right now at 1 o'clock, that I'm missing, because it's important for me to be here with the governor to explain what we're trying to do. But we're going through that process like we do every year, and it's mundane work. You know, every day it's getting the drudgery of finding out what we need to do to provide the services that we need to provide our people. And I tell people, I said, what happens this time of the year? The sun comes up about 7:30 in the morning, maybe a little earlier now. But by 7:35 in the morning, somebody in this state of 1.8 million people need a service from the state. A CPS worker, a school teacher, a policeman, a state trooper. That's a service that we know that we have to provide, and that he's in charge of. And I'm here as the chairman of finance to make sure that he has the money available to make those decisions. We're here as the policymakers and the authorization for him to be able to spend the money in certain ways so that he can maximize the service that we need. And it's been working. It's been working. Look at the investments that we have brought to this state over the last 6 years. Look at what we've done with the dollars available and the people in the right places in his administration on the roads, and I see some of our Department of Highways people here. And then you know what that's done? That's brought the people like Nucor. And the one thing about things like Nucor, and this summer I was on a trip with the Speaker of the House to go in front of investment bankers in New York. And I know the governor's been there before in front of them too on other things, but I've said to them, I said, Nucor came to West Virginia, why? Why did they come? What was it in their situation that attracted them to West Virginia? I don't know all the details, but they're here. Why did Procter & Gamble come to the Eastern Panhandle? Why did Clorox come to the Eastern Panhandle? Why is Forum Energy wanting to come to Weirton? And these other things that he and his staff have been working on. It's because there is something out there that we can provide. And what I've asked these investment bankers to do is to take another look at us. If they haven't taken a look at us before, do it this time. Because we know that people that are in those industries, in the top 100 industries in this country, in the world, they talk to each other. And they ask the same question. Why did Nucor go to Mason County, West Virginia? And they're asking those questions. And so we want them to ask. And we'll give them answers. And everything that we're doing with these dollars, these surplus dollars, are paying for the sins of the past. We had 83 years of a one dominant party that did not take care of the maintenance. They did not take care of the buildings. They did not take care of the properties. And we're working through that. And that's why we're going to use these. We have set policy with the legislature to use those dollars in such a way that we're not adding to program, but we're adding to benefit every opportunity we have for long term. And the governor's worked with us on this, and he's promoted that. And he brings us things that says to us, hey, by the way, we need this taken care of. It's just something that we continue to overlook, and it's time to take care of it. And that's what we're doing.
James, hold up just one second. Let me just say, let me kind of summarize, Vernon, and just think about this. Just think, and let's just reflect just a second. Think of what's going on today. Think of the fact that everywhere you turn, there's an orange cone. Some roads getting fixed someplace everywhere. Absolutely, tourism is exploding in their state. There's all kinds of people that are coming here. We have an opportunity to sit here right in front of you today and say, you know, do you want this or not want it? I mean, for crying out loud, do you want, if your income is, make it easy. If your income is 50 grand and you're paying 6% tax, that's $3,000. If you cut it in half, you're going to save $1,500. Do you want the $1,500 or not? There's no squirrel tails and mud flaps attached. There's absolutely just that. Cut your taxes. Cut your taxes. You know, we can afford to do it. We've absolutely proven that we can afford to do it. We've absolutely done everything from address hunger as best we possibly can to on and on and on with our schools and pay raises and everything under the sun. And like it or not like it, there will always be 10,000 more things we can do, no matter what we do. You know, absolutely at the end of the day, we've got things in corrections, we've got higher ed buildings falling down that we need addressed, and there's absolutely so many other things that we can do. There will always be more and more and more to do. But West Virginia is a different place today. You know, there was a point in time not long ago, really and truly, when we would have, well, think about this. I was told that a prior administration literally went downtown in the town of Charleston and cut the ribbon on a Taco Bell. Now, really, today, we're not cutting ribbons on Taco Bells. We're happy that Taco Bell's here, but we're cutting ribbons on stuff that's going to bring thousands and thousands of jobs and absolutely do goodness beyond belief. Think about tourism just one second in West Virginia. Literally yesterday, day before yesterday was Tourism Day. Last year, there was $5 billion spent on tourism in West Virginia for people coming in our state. $5 billion. We've upgraded the state parks. We've done, and almost every publication in the world is saying West Virginia is a place you ought to look at going to. I'm telling you, now's our time. Now's our time. Yes, Jimmy.
Of course, we want an income tax. Everybody here does. But from where you're sitting, you're looking into the eyes of people in this room who have voted in the ballot box to fix the schools with $67 million. Right. And you've also seen them pass again and maintain the policy to keep school teachers from what we have on the level right now.
Right.
That says a lot for this community. We care a lot. Now, I'd like to ask you another question, basically. What are you doing, you're doing it right, to bring the people in, the industry that Vernon just spoke about? I mean, what kind of charm are you using out there? What kind of sales pitch do you use, other than we're great people and a great place?
Well, telling people we're great people in a great place, is nice, but that's not going to cut it. Really and truly, we have never in the state of West Virginia been able to compete. We couldn't compete with other states. And we basically have put aside surplus dollars and we craft packages together to where we can compete and give some level of incentives to get them to come. Now, once they show up, then they bring all their in-laws and outlaws with them. They bring all kinds of different more opportunities. Think about Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway coming to West Virginia. Well, for crying out loud, they're probably a Fortune 50 company. Think about Nucor. Well, they're a Fortune 300 company. Think about Pure Watercraft or Form Energy or all the different things that are happening all over the place, Clorox and everything. When they're coming, then it just incites more and more and more to look at you. Think about just this. Think about if all of a sudden tomorrow we said in the state of West Virginia, we don't have a state income tax. How many people would come? How many businesses would come? For crying out loud, it'd be unbelievable. As far as doing stuff for your schools and everything else, you could do any and everything you wanted to do. That's what I'm trying to get you on. Yes, sir.
Governor, I agree with everything that you say. I think one of our biggest problems is our national perception. I'm a family court judge, and I've had a juvenile drug court for about 12 years. And this is my case coordinator, Jesse, here. And, we're on the front line. We've seen this. And one of the problems of bringing people in here is the national perception that we're all on drugs here. That we lead the nation in drug overdose deaths and lead in, what are we going to, I'm hoping that we're not going to cut services or not give pay raises to those frontline people that are dealing with our drug problem.
Well, let me tell you this. There's no way.
That's a
No.
big perception.
Well, can the perception, because there's no way on God's earth we're cutting services. We're not going to try with all in us to continue to do additional pay raises. I've sent it up. It's in the budget and everything. I absolutely hope and pray that we don't blow our legs off there. But literally, without any question, and you're right, Judge, wholeheartedly, in just one thing and one thing alone, and that is, if we don't continue to address the drug situation, it'll cannibalize us. No matter what we do, it'll cannibalize us. It affects every single last one of us. Can we fix it all on day one? I mean, we're trying to do all kinds of stuff right now as far as the Child Protective Services and all kinds of different things there. Can we fix it all tomorrow? No. But you can't tell me that the people in the outside world, their perception of West Virginia today is a whole heck of a lot different than it's been.
I hope so.
Well, yes, ma'am.
The median household income in West Virginia is $48,000.
Right.
Based on that figure, right now it's 6%, $2,880.
Right.
Cut that in half, they would receive $1,440.
That's right.
So that's $28. That I don't see, my two oldest children moved out of the state of West Virginia.
Vernon, let me go first and then you go.
Okay.
Every tax publication in the world would tell you if you reduce your personal income tax, it drives people to you. Guaranteed to you. Everyone, period. From the standpoint of where we are in West Virginia today, literally, if we have a job in West Virginia today that's paying $48,000, and the job in North Carolina would pay $80,000 or $65,000 or whatever it may be, we've got to drive more and more and more opportunity here. 6 years ago, that job that was probably paying $48,000, if it were a teaching job or whatever it was surely paying significantly less. Today, it's better. For the standpoint of the people that are going to work with Berkshire Hathaway or Form Energy or Nucor or whatever like that, it's better. How how in the world you can make it all just change, whoosh, it's not going to change like that. There's no way. There's no way. But to most people that have an income of $48,000, $1,400 is a lot of money. A lot of money. Well, I mean, you could put it down to 18 cents a second and say, well, it's not very much money. But at the end of the day, $1,400 to those families is a lot of money. And at the end of the day, literally, I go back to just every publication that I know there is in the world as to the fact that it will drive population to us. Bert.
He's right. The idea behind the tax reduction, even though on the individual basis, it may not be what you think what it will accomplish on an individual basis, but collectively, it's putting $1 billion into the economy. And what that will do is as the governor has announced, it will drive people here. And what that will do then, as we have people here for the jobs that we are creating right now, the jobs, we are short people. We are definitely short people because we can't get more people. The workforce participation is so low in this state that we can't get the majority of our people to go to work. Well, and you know what's going to drive those wages up? Is more jobs coming in. The Nucor people promised him, and us, nobody less than $90,000 a year in Mason County. Well, it's working towards that. That's the idea. That's why the things that he's talked about. The Form Energy people that are looking at the facilities in Weirton, the boat people that are looking at Beach Bottom, West Virginia, the Procter & Gamble's, the Clorox's. All these facilities are understanding the outside forces on them to be able to produce and manufacture, that they're going to have to raise wages. And West Virginia is on the forefront of being able to receive those wages. It takes time. As I said earlier, we are trying to take care of things in his 2 terms of office, and now we're in our 7th year with him. We're trying to take care of the problems of 83 years of policies that we just continued to do, continued to do, and continued to do. And along the way, when we built things, we cut the ribbon and we walked away. I see highway people back here. And some of them been here as long as I have, and remember the days when we first did the interstate works. And what did we do? We went out and cut ribbons on Route 2 or routes on I-77 when I was a kid, but we forgot to do the maintenance. And then along the way, we had governors that came along and said, my God, what are we doing? We're covering up problems here. We got to fix these. So what we've done, the Highway Department's a good example. We set up a program to do the maintenance, pull the ditches, do the culverts, cut the trees, get the road opened up so it can be paved and it can dry out and the pavement will last longer. So we're doing the same thing. He's doing the same thing with the HHR that he announced yesterday, that he's going to start taking care of the people, and we're going to do it a different way. He's got a new secretary that I'm going to meet with on Friday, and we're trying to work a way to separate those departments so that he can do his job better and make sure that those CPS workers and those kids are going to be taken care of. You know, my daughter's a special ed teacher in Elizabeth, and the stories that if she was able to tell me would make you cry. And I don't want to hear those stories, but I know they're real. And it's important that those kids are taken and protected. And it's important that he knows that those kids need protected. And he's trying to figure it out by doing what we're going to do about these separations on the HHR so that he can do his job better. Because all these people have to report to him. And we as a legislature, we don't look at the directors, we don't look at reps, we look to him. Why aren't you taking care of this, Governor? Why aren't you doing this? And it's his responsibility, because that's how our government's formed. So that's where we are, and we're trying to get there. And like he said, we're not going to get there overnight. And the dollars that we have available to fix all the problems, we're not going to fix all the problems. But we're sure as hell going to get closer to it as we go along. And along the way, we want you to enjoy an opportunity to get some of your money back. That's the whole idea here. We want you to have your money back. And yes, that'll be less dollars for us to take care of some of these problems, but we're going to work through that. And as long as we continue to be efficient and creative with the dollars that we have in the current budget, and just yesterday when he announced the HHR, guess what they did? We can do it with the dollars we got. Well, duh. That way we're not going to have to put more dollars in HHR. So that's what we're doing. That's what he's caused to happen over the last 4 or 5 years when we've sent him flat budgets. They take the money and they're innovative. They know how to do it. And with his help, he's caused them to be innovative. Because he knows that they have to be more efficient with the dollars, because we don't want to raise taxes on you. That's not what we need. We don't need more taxes and more spending. We need to take the dollars that we have and use them wiser. Thank you.
Just one thing, let me just say this real quick. Just think about this, and I'm not here to toot our horn in any way. I'm not here to do that. But just think, whatever sector you may pick. I mean, pick what we did yesterday with our CPS workers at DHHR. We said we're going to go across the board, I think, with massive pay raises and massive, bonus stuff and everything to make and increasing the numbers of people and everything. Same way with corrections. We don't have enough people in corrections and everything, and we're fighting an uphill battle and everything. We got to pay more. We got to pay significantly more. We got to pay locality pay and everything else. And just look at just step back and look at what's happening. Think about PEI across all those people and everything, all across the state. When was the last time they had an increase in their premium costs? Years and years ago. We've kept it flat. That's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. We've kept PEI sound and funded and everything. Not easy to do. There's so many different things that are out there. There's so many needs, it's unbelievable. I can't fathom that if you're a family that's got an income of $30,000 and you could save, pick a number, you could save almost $800 or $900 a year, or that money could come to you, or you're a family that's a $70,000 a year family and you could get an extra $2,100 a year. I can't imagine that that's just insignificant to you, that you don't care about it. And if you don't care about it, then what you should do is just have all your tax dollars just flow into the state and then every pet project known to man is going to get done. And before you know it, you're going to spin around and spin around and spin around, and West Virginia is going to be the same West Virginia that was your granddad's. And absolutely, today, West Virginia is a different place. West Virginia is the place that people are coming to look at in every way, and that's what we want it to be. Now, somebody over here was going to ask something. I think this gentleman first, and then I'll take it.
So we've touched on a lot of important topics today. You know, the biggest asset a state has is its people, and the biggest asset a person has is their health. We've touched on corrections, education, health, tourism, our population, how they're all vital. I'm curious if the Director of Revenue could report to us the projected impact on the revenue for departments of ed, departments of corrections, departments of CBD, and the projection moving forward, how that's going to affect like the numbers so we can all come away more educated.
Hello, folks. I'm Dave Hardy, the Secretary of Revenue. And your first question, I think, is, and we have these numbers, and they've been presented in a transparent way to the media and to the legislature, including Delegate Chris' committee. Before June 30th, if the legislature passes the income tax cut this year, it will affect calendar year 23, which will go all the way back to January 1st. So West Virginians would have their taxes cut before June 30th of this year, over the next 3 or 4 months, $163 million, right back in your pockets in the next 3 months. Moving to fiscal year 24, which would be July 1st of 23 through June 30th of 24 next year, there'll be additional 10% on top of the 30, and that would put $1.1 billion back in your pocket. About almost $100 million a month would come back into your pocket as West Virginia taxpayers. And then moving to fiscal year 25, which would be July 1, 24 to June 30, 25, it would top out at a 50% cut, which would be about $1.2 billion. If we do that, we are confident that we will see the outcome that other states have seen. There are 9 states that don't have state income tax out of 41. In the 10-year study that was done, those 9 states grew their population twice as fast as the other 41 states, and their economies grew 56% faster over a 10-year period. The other thing that's real relevant right now, and I even saw this morning on the news, is that teleworkers across the country are looking. They're looking hard because they are trying to decide where they're going to work. The average teleworker, there was a study announced today, has 56 minutes a day that they don't spend in the car, not to mention all the expense of going to and from work, dressing for work, et cetera. Teleworkers across the country are going to low-tax income tax states, no question about it. So when you add all that up, you see that West Virginia will be very well positioned. And you know, these dollars, a good number of these dollars, they come from your taxes, but they also come from the severance tax. Dollars that came from gas, that came out of the ground of West Virginia, that we're putting back into West Virginians' pockets. We're not going to ship it out of state to companies out of state, Walmart, Target, Dow Chemical. These dollars are going to come right back out of the ground in West Virginia, right back into your pocket here in West Virginia. As far as your question about the budgets, the beauty of the situation that we're in now, and again, when this governor came 6 years ago this month, the state of West Virginia was almost $500 million in deficit position. This year, just this year alone, the 12 months that we're in now, which would be from last July 1st till this coming June 30th, our budget surplus will be $1.7 billion. So we are able to, of course, return a lot of those dollars to the people of West Virginia, but as importantly, and that's come up here several times today, as importantly, we're not cutting the budget. Essential services, child protection, education, we're not cutting the budget, we're actually giving a raise to the budget. West Virginia's budget is going to go up this year. The average employee for the state of West Virginia is going to receive a 5% pay raise. There's been a raise in our PEIA subsidies for our hospitals. The hospitals were complaining that PEIA was not paying them enough. And we're also raising the school aid formula, which is the formula that's used per pupil that funds our public education system. So I don't want anybody to leave here today with the idea that this tax return of dollars to you is going to result in a large budget cut for the state of West Virginia. It doesn't. Our revenue streams are up 21.2%, just in the last 12 months alone. We're in a historic time. Though there hasn't been a time like this ever in the history of West Virginia. And these numbers, last year we were saying, wow, these numbers are really, really good. These revenue streams are doing great. Then this year, they moved up 21.2% more. West Virginia's economy is moving forward. And as the governor said, we need more people. We need to entice people to come and work in West Virginia. And all the studies show, the Tax Foundation, then I'll yield the podium. The Tax Foundation last week, January 23rd, 2023, issued a study, a statement about West Virginia, and it says, West Virginia is being left behind on tax relief. West Virginia needs to do income tax relief right now. There's only one other state that has an income tax that hasn't done tax relief for its citizens, and it's Michigan. So right now, we're riding along with Michigan, and I don't think we want to go there. I think even though I've got 6 first cousins in Michigan that all moved up there in the 1950s when there wasn't any work in West Virginia, we have an opportunity here to make a huge impact. So I hope I answered your question. And
Yeah, just to articulate back and make sure I'm hearing this correctly.
Sure.
It's a surplus, it's beyond the current budget, so there's no proposed cuts to any budgets. With the $700 million deposit into a reserve, essentially, by cutting the tax, you're giving the surplus back, keeping things operating at the same budget, and then hoping to find efficiency and innovative ways to run the state department.
Well, no, I didn't say that last part, even though that's a good one. You have the $700 million reserve fund. To be sure that our projections are correct, we think they're absolutely correct, but we're putting $700 million
You're taking
aside.
$700 million out of the surplus.
Out of the surplus.
And bucketing it.
That's
over
right.
here.
It's just going to sit there. And if our projections are as good as we think they are, we won't need that $700 million. We are also projecting that the budget is going to go up because it's realistic that over time, you're going to have pay raises, you're going to have inflation, even though inflation is starting to come down. And we're also projecting that we might have a mild recession that we could have.
And a reduction in energy prices.
Yeah, and that the energy
They factored
prices.
both of those things in.
All that's-
Mild recession and
That's
energy
right.
prices backing up a little bit.
All that's in our projection. Despite all that, our revenue is growing so healthy and doing so well that we feel confident that we can continue to fund the budget and implement this tax cut.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
I applaud you for revamping DHHR. It definitely needs to be done. I applaud you for adding more workers to DHHR. Please excuse me, because they are definitely understaffed. But because they are understaffed, unfortunately, it's because we have a crisis with children in the state of West Virginia. And that crisis, it's a trickle-down effect. That crisis is because we have more homeless people who have children. CPS is called in. Then, unfortunately, they end up taking the children. We have a foster child parenting problem. We don't have enough foster parents. Trickle down. We go into the drugs. We have a drug problem still. We have a homeless problem and a drug problem in the state of West Virginia, and I'm going to speak for Parkersburg because we definitely have a homeless problem here, which it all trickles uphill. We have got to fix what's causing the problem. What's causing the problem. And the problem is the drugs and the homelessness. And I have not
I have not heard anything about what are we doing? What are we doing to fix the problems that is causing the other problems to happen? We have to put on more workers, we have to do this, we need more social workers, we need more mental health. We have no place for mental health. And mental health is a big part of the homelessness and the drug problem. And I'm not hearing any plan to come up to fix this situation. And we, as a city, we can't do it on our own. You know, we need help. Every city that's got this problem, and there's a lot of it, as you well know, in the state of West Virginia, it's got the same problem that Parkersburg has. But we're not hearing any plan to help the cities to be able to even financially handle this, number one, and number two, given the means to help them by the state, by that being mental facilities, restructuring. Something's got to be done. Every day I hear drugs, homelessness, every day. You know, it's not, and I applaud you because I'm very proud of what you've done in the state of West Virginia. I'm not hearing, oh, we got some more plans coming out. You know, we got this. I'm hearing, we've got a problem with homelessness and we've got a problem with drugs and no one's doing anything. We're doing the best we can as a city. Our mayor is doing absolutely the best that he can. And city council is doing the best that they can. But we're out. We're out. We don't know without the help and some guidance from our governor, from your people, a plan to take care of this.
Right. Well, Vernon, you want to talk about this?
Go right ahead.
Let me just say this, you know, I wish to goodness, and there's no point in rattling through, you know, Jim's dream, Jobs and Hope, all the different things that we've tried to put in place and everything. I have said it 10 million times, and I continue to say it. We all recognize the issue. I mean, especially in the southern coal fields, it was rampant. It was a problem like you can't fathom and everything else. Literally, like it or not like it, and I know that you may disagree, but things are better. Are things close? Are things fixed? No, they're not fixed. Is this a problem in every city all across this country? And in most situations, it is multiple times worse than it is here, but we don't want it to grow here as it is in other places all across this country. We know all of that. You know, and literally, I will promise you, and again, I wish I had, you know, more folks here that can speak more intelligently than I can about this, but there's a lot of people that are working on this problem and a lot of people that are doing a lot of stuff. Now, can they do more? Well, of course they can, but there's no point in trying to go through the specifics and everything else. I can tell you 1,000 things that are, yeah, we're winning this war here, we're winning this war here, we're doing this, we're doing that and everything, but we got to do more. We got to do more and continue to do more and more and more, because you're right. You know, we don't want to awaken to the next, you know, national news being in West Virginia on a catastrophe beyond belief at a school or whatever it may be. You know, there's issue after issue all across this land, and absolutely in West Virginia. I can assure you, just like Secretary Hardy just said a second ago, as far as cutting services, we have increased services, and we want to continue to increase services. We need people to move here too. You've got to have people come here. You've got to have you spending more money here. We've got to have workers here. We can recruit every business, you know, under the sun here, but if we don't have workers that can take the jobs, or they don't want to move here, you know, then we're stymied. You know, there's lots and lots and lots to it, and I wish to goodness I had a whole fleet of people here that could talk to you more intelligently than I can.
I just want to say one more thing. The problem is the drugs and homeless. But coming back, you are well aware of a problem with getting police officers. they, for whatever reason. And I will have to say, our community sorts are 100% supporting behind our police department. That picture back there will show you how much we support our police officers. Our resources are drying up. Our police officers are tired because all of their, not all of it, and I don't know the percentage, I apologize for that. The percentage of the time that police officers spend on drugs and homelessness, we don't have a man.
I get it. I totally get it. You were gonna ask something, sir.
Just to switch topics, Governor, it's been said that pets look like their owners. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. We have the same dietary program, I'll promise you that.
I kind of noticed that.
I love it. Wait, you had something?
Yeah, I have several things to say. People have bad attitudes because of the past. We gotta look forward to the future. And, I started a company. I never did anything with it. It's a small company. It's called WIT.
Right.
WIT Enterprises. It started in Belgrade, Ohio.
Good for you.
I didn't do anything with it. And 2010, I wanted to build a theme park. Okay?
Right.
And I had this crazy notion to build a theme park in Belgrade, Ohio. And I wanted to build around this area. Okay? And I knew in my head, God told me, Belfry, Marietta, Parkersburg, right here.
Sure.
In this triangle. And I met with Congressman Johnson over at Belfry, and he sat down next to me, and he told me, well, he didn't tell me, he was telling people at the chamber meeting that I was at, and he said, this could be the next Cincinnati in Belfry. And I said, how about Pittsburgh? We got the three rivers right here, running through. We got 3 islands. People don't see it. And I wanted to build Gilligan's Island Theme Park, Mid-Ohio Valley.
I love it.
My friends were just like, you're way off, man. My doctor told me, I go to VA. Okay, my VA doctor told me, he said, you're grandiose. Get that out of your head, man. He was Indian. He said, stop it. I do an Indian voice. I do comedy.
Okay.
I got in, I'm getting into podcast. Okay, I just got back from Nashville. I drove to Nashville to go to this Slave Park Reawakening. I get more out of that than going to the Super Bowl or watching football. I could care less about football anymore. But I get, hear these speakers. I have 71 speakers in 2 days. 2 days. Gerald Flynn and Clay Clark. This guy is amazing. He's like the Max Headroom. And on and on and on. And I went to it was like a big tent revival. It was spiritual, reawakening. But what I'm trying to get at is people need to change their attitudes. Okay?
Right.
And stop worrying about drugs and stuff like that. That's in the past right now. We can fix that. We can fix that. That can be done. That can be fixed. And I met with Patrick Morrissey down at the Capitol. I went down there for a meeting a couple years ago. And he patted me on the shoulder, and I joked around with him about his campaign things, about flying, wasted. I don't know, I could go on and on and on. But like when he said something about Joe Manchin is wasting money with helicopters and stuff. I like Joe Manchin. He helped me out a lot.
Right.
But the thing is, I met with Matt Warner. And Matt Warner, I think, would be a good governor. And I think people should look at, I think people should look into it.
All right.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And thank you, sir, for your service.
Thank you.
More than anything, thank you for your service.
The governor's got to be back in the Capitol here very shortly, so we need to wrap this up. I appreciate you all coming. If you've got other questions, please see us, the mayor, myself.
Not about state budget. You can see him about state budget.
But we're here to help you, and we're here to serve with you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be with you. And I want to thank the governor coming to Parkersburg on his very first city in the state of West Virginia to talk about this. And we sat down Monday in his office to talk about what we were going to do, and he looked right at me and he said, Vernon, we're going to Parkersburg first, and you call the mayor. And I said, yes, sir. And then he said, I'll call Jimmy. So that's what he did. So thank you very much, Mayor. Thanks for all of you being here.